Biden is flip-flopping. Okay, this is actually really incredible. There's a CNN story that says, Biden says border walls don't work. And then right over that, I tab over and it's BBC going, Biden approves new section of border wall.
If I was an environmentalist, I'd be pissed.
All right.
And
Biden is building a wall.
Biden is building a wall. If you remember, part of his campaign, he was talking about not 1 foot more of wall, right? Well, they're going back on that, and they're building 20 miles of wall at the border. This was announced yesterday.
You know, it's so incredible too because there's so much talk about people love bagging on Donald Trump and they say like, oh, I think Chris Christie in the last debate he's like, Trump only built 56 miles of wall. The reality is he built 80 miles of new wall and then he rebuilt much of the 452 miles of wall that were previously there with a substantially better system. That doesn't mean it's perfect. I mean, any wall isn't perfect. Not even the Great Wall of China. You know what? There was a story the other day that somebody was wanting to farm on both sides of that wall, so they just demolished part of the Great Wall.
That.
Yeah, just so they could have easier access. But anyway, so wait, Biden is flip-flopping.
Tell me about it.
He listened to us yesterday. We told him if we wanted to quash the Republicans' argument to start doing something about the border and immigration. I guess he tuned in yesterday.
Okay, I do want to hear this because this is not only is this very this is actually really incredible. Hold on, we need a wait a minute. Biden says border walls don't work. Is a CNN story. Can you put this up on screen? Look at this. I just pulled this up. This is Biden on CNN. The top. Can you show? Oh, am I not plugged in? Well, make sure. Can you get to that? And let's see if we can pull this up. Anyway, it's a CNN. I'll replug it here for a second. See if it pops up. But anyway, there's a CNN story that says Biden says border walls don't work. And then right over that, I tab over and it's BBC going, Biden approves new section of border wall.
And then this Reuters headline is gold that says, in reversal, Biden to build more U.S. border wall. Trump demands apology.
That's okay. Look at this. Kevin doesn't even plug in the cables here. So we'll do that. Yeah. So tell me more. What do we know about this? When's this wall going up? Do we know when it's going up and how much it's going to cost? I mean, who's going to pay for this? And what Speaker of House is going to approve this?
I have no idea as far as dates, but what I do know is they seem pretty desperate because there's a total of 26 different federal acts that they're kind of bypassing to do this, including it was like a air safety, a water safety. Like they are kind of dismissing a lot of the protections acts because they seem like they want to build this up ASAP.
Yeah, I have a map here. We can pull it up. Here's a picture of what the area that's going to be getting the new section of wall right here, Rio Grande section. That's Biden's wall proposal, which will be really funny because, what Trump's going to do here is he's going to grab this and say, look at all the wall I built, and it's going to be a map of like 452 miles. And then Biden's like, oh, walls don't work. Then all of a sudden now walls do work and we're going to build the wall. And then this is the part Biden. So Trump's going to do one of these, which one do you want? Oh my gosh.
So here's how Biden's admin is arguing that this is a good thing.
Yep.
Because originally in his 2021 campaign quote, Biden said, no more American taxpayer dollars to be diverted to construct a border wall. Well, as we just heard today, they flip-flopped on that, but here's how they defend it. On Thursday, the administration said that the action did not deviate from Biden's proclamation because of the money that was already allocated to Trump's term in 2019 now has to be spent. So they're saying in order to build the wall, we're not going to use the taxpayer dollars that we promised we wouldn't use, but they're just going to use the ones that Trump had already collected.
That's just politics for you, and it's so frustrating because it's like just be real with the American people. Just tell people, look, we actually have a problem at the border, and you know what? You got to give the devil the due, as they say, or however they say it. It's like the wall maybe could actually help, right? That's what like the Biden administration should say. And look, then you could justify it by saying, look, we're using old money, but it is a difference from what we said. But here's why it's going to help or whatever, right? And it's okay, but we're still following our promise. Come on. It's the same thing as like, 2 quarters in a row of negative GDP. Well, that's not technically a recession anymore.
Has a president ever just gotten up to the podium and taken accountability?
I mean, that's
I
a
was
good
wrong.
question.
Like I whiffed. I'm sorry. Like have
I
they
would
ever?
say so. I would love to think of some examples, but that's a really good question. You know, that would make a really good video. It's like a sizzle reel of like presidents actually owning up to it. I think one of the most
It would
vivid
have to
ones.
be a short.
Yeah, it'd have to be a short. You know, one of the ones that I thought of as you were asking that, and I don't remember what it was about. I'm sure I could find it, but it was actually Obama going up explaining that there was some kind of mistake, and he says the buck stops with me, and I thought that was actually really empowering. We should have more of that. I shouldn't get a question like that and be like, I can think of one. You know, it should be like, oh yeah, all the time. But you're right. You know, it's just how can we spin this into, oh no, we didn't mess up.
Do you want to hear what Trump had to say to this announcement?
Absolutely.
I'd love to hear that. Actually,
This is in the same Reuters article. As I've stated often, over thousands of years, there will only be two things that have consistently worked: wheels and walls. Trump wrote on social media. Quote, will Joe Biden apologize to me in America for taking so long to get moving? So Trump's like, Biden's doing like the right thing. It's just now he's come to his senses to finally do it. And Biden's saying, well, we're just using Trump's money to do it. So Trump kind of still somehow, like always, comes out looking like a champ and taking a W on this. He's like, my funds are still building the wall. And you guys are still taking credit for it.
It's just so hard to argue, and this is not to like take sides and you know with Trump or whatever, but Trump is in this like having officially lost the 2020 election. He's almost gotten now into this crazy like everything has gone his way. He escaped inflation. Biden had to deal with all that inflation. The reality is we would have probably had a lot of the inflation with Trump as well. Maybe we wouldn't have passed some of the inflationary measures like the Inflation Reduction Act. That's certainly added. The $1,400 stimulus check, that's certainly added. But we definitely would have still had the first round of two big COVID packages, Trump's $600 and the $1,200. We would have still had that inflation. But Trump was able to dodge the inflation. Not only that, but then, you know, everybody's like, oh, Trump, you're crazy for the Hunter laptop story. And then it's like, oh, well, it was real. You know, everybody's like, oh, ha, ha, Trump says the market's going to crash if Biden gets in. Oh, well. You know, like, you just keep going down the list. It's like, damn, this guy, he's just nailing it, you know?
There's an interesting perspective. It's literally the last line of the Reuters article. Reuters, however you want to say
Reuters.
Mexico, this is the Mexican president speaking. And I've never really thought about it from the Mexican president's perspective. He said, this is a step backwards. If you're the Mexican president, do you advocate for the United States building a wall, or do you, like, because if he's saying this is a step backwards to keep building the wall, it means he's almost in support of his people leaving, which if you are a president and if these people are really wanting to come to America to work, then you're hurting your own economy by having the people that are wanting to work.
Are you,
They're
though?
fleeing. Well,
Just because my thinking is so much of that money, like, I don't know what percentage of their economy, maybe that's worth looking up, but so many people who come to the United States end up sending money back home. So I don't know if it's actually helping or hurting the economy in that perspective.
That's a good point. But then at the same time, people are leaving if they really do feel in danger. People are leaving, and you're giving more ground to the criminals and to the cartels and things there. So if you're the Mexican president, are you happy the United States builds it? I mean, obviously he's not.
Think about it. If you're, let's put it this way. If you're Germany and you're like, you know what, we're done with the Poles. We're done with the Poles. We're building a wall, and the Poles are going to build for it. What does that make the Poles feel like? It makes them feel lesser. It makes them feel worse, like they're failing, right? And obviously there's a massive gap between Mexico's GDP and America's, but of course the president's going to say that. He has to, the president of Mexico. So that it makes sense. And really the argument here is, look, we need better solutions. And of course we do. But we probably need better solutions and a secure border.
I feel like if I was an environmentalist, I'd be pissed. Because part of why they're bypassing all of these federal regulations, and I have them here, the Clean Air Act, the Safe Drinking Water Act, the Endangered Species Act, and 23 others, part of why is because it takes a long time to go through all the proper channels. And if they had started the process early, well, we'd still be building a wall, but we would be building it like the safer way.
Sure.
Instead, we kind of procrastinated. Now last minute, it's like, all right, screw all the rules, build the wall.
That's really interesting. It became so bad. Now they had to bypass all of the environmentalists. That's really interesting.
And it's interesting because in 24 hours, quote, you said yesterday, Kevin, that this is probably not a top priority for the Biden administration. Why do you think that changed in 24 hours?
They saw our video.
Just to to get around the obvious, they saw our video. Do you think it was more of a political issue, or do you think there's an actual immigration issue? Is it a political move, or is it an
It's
actual trying to
both.
solve the problem?
Because we're sitting here going, Biden ain't doing jack S. You know, he's not doing anything. Like, get off your butt and do something about it. You know, it's like enough of that, and all of a sudden, enough of the population screaming, like, please, government, do something. If you don't do something, you're just going to get voted out. So that's where it goes to the second part, where yeah, of course, it's also politically motivated. It's like, okay, here's how we're going to do it. Which it is very interesting about the climate impact, or maybe not necessarily climate impact, but the bypassing climate regulations and rules. I was just reading this in the New York Times. Christian, you could throw this up on screen. It's obviously a huge debate as to whether or not climate change is climate change is worsened by humans or not. That's the big debate. We do know that the climate is changing, though. And this graph was incredible. I think you guys could see it here on screen, too. Look at that when you zoom in. This is the September 2023 Antarctic sea ice level. And it is the lowest and about to be on record for the lowest, basically, ever recorded. All of these lines represent 1 year, and here's where we are. And then obviously the dots is sort of your average, your midpoint there. So pretty incredible. Lowest ever recorded. Pretty wild. Little tangent off the wall there, but that is a crazy flip-flop.
Yeah.
Anything else on Biden's flip-flop here?
Well, not on his flip-flop, just why are we still electing 100-year-old politicians to run the country?
Yeah.